We're excited to share with you Countertop Kit number 23. It has a coffee base, brass highlights, and black spray paint. We also chose to do the wood grain technique on this countertop. Check it out.
Okay, we're getting ready to do our base coat. Obviously the counters are ready. We put the plastic down, we prepped them, we primed them. As you can tell, it's sticky still, but it's not pulling off. So this is a perfect time to coat your counter. You don't want this to still be wet. You want to go on it when it's tacky. Temperature obviously affects how long it takes to dry. We're really hot in this warehouse. It's summertime, so it's only taking about a half hour, 45 minutes. Could take longer inside with the AC on, but we're ready to go. So I got my base coat already mixed up. We're gonna pour this down the middle, all over the counter. Try to keep it in the middle. We'll kind of let that level out. The whole idea of this is to get the same width of bead all the way down the counter. So I'll pour the majority of it out and then I'll come back and add to some of the thinner spots. Like right here is obviously not as wide. All right, now I'm gonna take a 3/8 snap roller, if I can get it out of my pocket here. We've de-shedded it by rolling it on tape to get any loose hairs off. That way it's not gonna wind up in our epoxy and mess up with how the surface lays out. We're just gonna cross roll this. We wanna go straight up and down. We don't wanna go at an angle and start pushing resin, further down the counter. This will help kind of get you an even coat everywhere. All right, again, we're not trying to push it off the edge just yet. Kind of just get it all rolled out. And on your backsplash or your back edge, we tape it a little high so the epoxy doesn't lock it in. So I want to make sure when I'm coating back there, I'm going up onto the tape just a little bit. And then I'll kind of pull that excess back out. So we don't want any missed spots on our back edge where the tape is. So make sure you get that all coated up to the tape. All right, so now I'm just bringing it right to the edge. Again, I'm not trying to push it off. Something's gonna start dripping, that's all right. So now we're gonna check for thickness. Easiest way to do this, just let the roller glide on the surface. If it starts to push a lot of product, like it kind of is there, it means it's a little thick right here. So I'm gonna just kind of move that down to this end because I know it's a little thinner. And we'll level this out. And then I'll just demonstrate what a thick pile kind of will do when you're doing this. So you just lightly come through and then it just pushes a lot of product. We want to make sure we spread that out really good or move it to any areas that are really thin. So the top seems really good. Last thing before we do our edges, I like to run a bead. Kind of just push a little product about 1 inch away from the edge. And I'm angling my roller so it pushes that product out. That's where most people have thin spots, is right on their edges, so that'll help help it flow over your edge, and make your faces look really good. And then we'll just flatten it off real quick. All right, so our base coat is basically done. We're gonna hit our edges. At this time, you're gonna wanna have whoever's helping you mix the epoxy start mixing their highlights. That way when we're done with the edges, we can immediately add our highlights. So edges, we just roll on the top, get some product on the roller, and roll about a foot, foot and a half on the face. Hit the top again, foot, foot and a half. And kind of continue that all the way down these edges. That way we get a good thick coat. There's no surface tension. Because all these drips is surface tension. It's not letting the product flow. It almost creates a dam. So we want to make sure we get everything coated. That way it can flow over evenly and not have any drips like that. All right, top's done, edges are done. You should pretty much have your highlights ready to go. That way you're not waiting around and this is starting to set up. So I got my highlights here. And we're gonna do a wood grain pattern going this way. We did one the opposite way last time. So I'm gonna squeeze this container, and obviously you can pour out into smaller containers so you have more control. But I'm just gonna go up and down kind of randomly. Not everyone's gonna go all the way across. Again, the more random we can be, the better this will look. And it's better to get color on your whole counter and then go back and add to it instead of running out halfway through and then not having enough for everywhere else. I'm just adding a little bit to the edges. That way there's enough product for this to flow over the face and bring that color right to that front edge. So there's our highlight. Now we're gonna take some black spray paint and just spray in between all the colors. Make sure you shake it up good, test spray, that way you're getting actual paint that comes out. And we're just gonna go in between these kind of randomly. Again, we're not doing them all the same length. They're not going all the way down and across. And it's up to you. You can add other colors of spray paints. Obviously, if you're just doing black, you could add another tan color. It look really good. Cool thing about this technique is we can always go back and add color with spray paint and then just reblend it. And if you're spraying this inside a house, it can get a little potent, so make sure you're wearing a mask. Maybe have a front door open or something, get a little airflow. But to blend this, I'm just gonna take my hands and go up and down and try to keep them relatively straight. And I wanna go all the way to the edge and then off the face. So I don't wanna just stop on the edge, I wanna pull off. So it's really quick. Again, I'm trying to keep these as straight as possible. It's obviously not going to be perfect. And you can go any pattern with this technique. You don't have to go straight up and down or left or right. Obviously the longer spans are a little more tricky to keep straight. So it's good to blend them and then go kind of step back and make sure they're looking straight. All right, so if you want to add more color with the spray paint, or even if you had some leftover epoxy, you would just pour that out, blend it in real quick. But I'll show you how to add it. I don't want to add a lot because it looks really good. But you would just take your spray paint, do the same thing. Add color wherever you want, and then you just blend it again, just really quick. We just blend that in, and you'll never tell that you came back and added color. So really cool. Easy way to get it exactly how you want it. And then obviously these edges are flowing over. Like I was telling you, the top design is basically coming down the edge, so we might not even have to hit these edges. And then the third thing, if you want to spray isopropyl alcohol for more of an effect, gives you some craters, especially where all your spray paint's at. It's going to give you some cells and some craters that look really unique. You can do that. I'll kind of show you what that'll do. This is kind of the look you would get without spraying it, and you'll see how more dramatic it is by spraying it. So again, you can opt out of this option, leave it like this, it's gonna look amazing. But we're just lightly spritzing the surface, and everywhere that black spray paint is, it's gonna keep those effects that it's doing. So again, we're doing small little spritzes, little drops. Kind of creates the look of like a fracture vein in granite. Really cool. And when you're spraying the isopropyl, sometimes you can get fish eyes that go all the way down to the primer, and it'll just look like a circle there that's missing epoxy. And it usually happens on thin spots, like on your edges and stuff. If that happens, say this was a fish eye, we would just kind of pat this in and help level that out. So you want to make sure after you spray the dispersing effect, make sure you go around and hit all those fish eyes if you get them. And then the last thing is on your edges, to touch up your edges. Like you have some drips here. Obviously this is still fresh and flown over, so it's going to look a lot better. But say it was an hour later and you had some drips on your faces that you want to touch up, just take a cheap paintbrush, get some epoxy on it, that way it's not dry. And you would just find your drips and you would just kind of brush them up. If your design's going horizontal, you would obviously brush them horizontal, right? So it's a real easy way to touch up your edges. Like these are all gonna look great. Most of these will look fine as long as you have enough epoxy on your face and on your top. You didn't stretch the kit, these will look awesome. But you wanna look for that. Come back and check after about a half an hour, 45 minutes. Make sure your edges look good, touch up anything you need to touch up. And then the last thing is scraping your bottom drips before the resin gets too hard. So it usually takes about an hour and a half for this to quit dripping. So you want to check back periodically, scrape the bottom with the paint stick. Real simple, you just run your paint stick on the bottom and it's gonna pull off all your drips, and then eventually it'll get hard enough to where it's not dripping anymore. So that's pretty much it. Simple technique, super cool. And again, you can use any color spray paint you want in this design.
Hey guys, that was our kit number 23 where we used our wood grain technique. Want to purchase the kit? Click the link in the description below. Don't forget guys, subscribe to our channel, turn on your notifications for some of our awesome projects that we have coming. See you guys next time.